Hello, everyone. Do you like my shirt? Like my t-shirt? Yes. It's from Jax from The Shining, remember? Yes, indeed. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I woke up this morning to a video by MJ, and I was tagged by MJ. Thank you, MJ. Well, she tagged everybody in the Horror Mayhem group, so I'm a part of the Horror Mayhem group, and happy to be. So, although I was not all that involved this Horror Mayhem, and I have some lame excuses coming up. Well, they're not lame excuses; they're legitimate excuses. But as far as horror goes, I've forgotten more than I remember. Seriously, it's kind of like Shakespeare in a way. When I was younger, I was really into horror and Shakespeare, but particularly into horror. I read a lot of old things, but my memory is faded on that for some reason. I've read a lot of books, as you have as well, I'm sure. That's why we're here, aren't we? So, and now thinking of Shakespeare, I should add, maybe I'll come up with some horror Shakespeare books to hold up. But I have some books to hold up. I have the answers here. I have the prompts here on this phone. So let's get to it, shall we? The horror BookTube tag is an oldish tag. It's 4 years old, and it was created by Alex at the Book You Bus. It reminds me of the on the Bus. It was an old lit mag back in the late 80s, early 90s. But this is of the horror BookTube tag, not the old literary magazine tag, Alan. And the first prompt is, how and when did you get into horror? What did I say? Well, I have an answer for this because MJ's video made me reminisce and ruminate a wee bit about my childhood growing up in Toledo, Ohio. I had a good friend that lived a few doors down on the corner. He had a cool house. It was on the corner of a busy street. Cars used to jump the fence and end up in his backyard. He had an above ground pool, pretty big backyard when you were a kid. All these hiding places. And an interesting house, too. But we I used to sleep over there from a few doors down. On Fridays, I remember particularly, because his mother would let us stay awake till midnight and watch the Friday night horror movies that were from Detroit, Michigan on TV. The host would dress up like Dracula and come out of a coffin and tell us the upcoming creature feature or whatnot. It was very entertaining. Link to MJ's video below too. You know the drill. Prompt 2. What was the first horror book you read? And I put the Bible, right? Because when I grew up, I was an altar boy. I was in catechism. I had to do my catechism and for my confirmation and all that. MJ talks about going to a Catholic high school. But I liked vampires. I was afraid of bats. My grandmother had bats in her house, in her basement. She had cellars for her. She would pickle fruits and vegetables and peppers. And oh man, now you got me thinking about my grandmother's packing pints of pickled peppers. Yeah, but I was, she would have bats down there. Not big bats or anything, real small little bats, but I was afraid that they would bite me on my big foot, my big toe. my big foot, my big toe when I was a kid. Anyway, what was that? What was the prompt? Who knows? Prompt 3. What horror-related goodness can we expect from your channel? I got nothing. Not too much. My excuse number 1 is Greg and another bibliophile and I are doing a group read of Ulysses. Yes, James Joyce's Ulysses, starting next month and continuing into July. So I'm preparing for that. And once I get started on Ulysses and reading supported texts that I won't mention or get into here, because this is the horror book tag, I get, tunnel vision. So, and also for some reason, I was going to do a tour. Downtown Portland has some haunted places. And it turns out one of the Shanghai tunnels, the tour, it's $40 for 2 people. Comes with 2 pints of beer. I have a friend who was interested in going maybe next month. So that, and then some other $40. Maybe in October I'd have friends who'd be into going with me, and you can't get like a single ticket, or I'd go by myself. I don't know why, but anyway. But I'm glad Scott and Becky invited me to Horror Mayhem, and I did read some horror books. Buddy read Pet Cemetery with MJ, in fact. That was a great treat. But on to the next prompt. Do you have any favorite themes or subgenres within horror? I like vampires. I'd be remiss if I wouldn't mention Anne Rice. Really like her. I met her back in the 90s in Phoenix, Arizona. Again, not a personal meeting. She was at a book signing. But I brought my old Anne Rice books, and she autographed them. But she inscribed Lasher. It was a tour for Lasher. Yeah. But I love even her books on The Witching Hour. Not necessarily about vampires. Well, they're not. And I just Googled The Witching Hour. Turns out there's you guys know, I'm sure, there's a TV series on it that I've missed. But I would like that. And even going back further into the Vampire Chronicles, I like the character David Talbot. It's like a cult detective. MJ's into cult detectives too. Shout out, she's got a published story that was in one, I think, last year, or it was accepted last year. But enough about MJ. Prompt 5, name a underrated horror novel or author. I'm not on the scene, don't really know. MJ had a lot of recommendations in her video, so go back to that, please. 6, name an overrated horror novel or author. Again, I'm not going to diss anybody because not that I'm afraid to or don't want to. I'm just not on the scene. Don't have what's happening in the horror community, etc. 7, recommend 3 of your favorite horror novels. I could do that. One of my favorites is The Terror by Dan Simmons, and I don't have a copy of The Terror because every time I get a copy of it, I end up giving it away. It's so good. I don't loan people books anymore because I'd rather just buy it for them. But this is a Dan Simmons book called Drood that is an excellent horror book, and especially if you like Charles Dickens, because it's a tie-in with Wilkie Collins, who's was Dickens' friend, and his last incomplete novel, he died in the middle of it, was Edmund Drood, the mystery of Edwin Drood. So it's about that. It's about the sewers and underground of London, Victorian London, It's quite horrific, but the Terror is even better. One of my other favorites is Stephen King. I mentioned Pet Sematary is one of my favorites. Read or reread that if you haven't read it in a few years or so. It's a great buddy read. But this is a good Stephen King novel too. Quite hefty, but 11/22/63. I was born in 63, December 27th, 63. If you want to send me a birthday card, uh, but only like a month and a few days after this, right? So I could really relate to it. I very much enjoyed it. It's a Stephen King book, just filled with Stephen King things, and I don't think did I review this? I can't remember, but highly recommend that. Gareth at Book Songs and Other Magic. He's a King fanatic like me. Might be his favorite King book as well. Prompt 8. Or my last one? Oh, how could I be remiss? The last one. This, I'm calling it a horror novel, 2666. And I've read this twice. I'd like to read it again, not anytime soon. It's something you really, it's a hard book to deal with. If you've read it, make a comment below. I'd like to hear what you think about 2666. Let's see here. 8. Recommend a book for someone who is new to the horror genre. Let's see. Anything by Robert R. McCammon. I've read almost all his stuff, starting back in the day. Like, I don't have any books to hold up by him, unfortunately. Swan Song, by Owl, collection of short stories called, God, I should have written this down, Blue Dream, I believe. Particularly, I remember a short story of his called Pin, Pin, and it's in that book. World, Blue World, I think the collection's called. Blue Dream, where did I get that? But the story Pin, I read 40 some years ago, still remember it. Let's see, 9. Are there any book to film adaptations that you particularly loved or hated? The Exorcist. Now, quite honestly, that's a movie. I saw the movie before reading the book, and I won't get into the story. When I was a kid with my brother, my parents went out to dinner, and they said, whatever you kids do not watch this movie. We had an illegal cable box, and Channel 100 was, out of Detroit again. No, I don't, but we watched it. It scared us to death. I was on the top bunk. My brother, I'd wake up, he'd be in bed with me. Funny shit like that. Then I read the book, and the book has so much more detail in it. Oh, it trips you up. Oh my God, her walking on her toes, like on her back, like walking like that. Only like this. If I could, you can imagine how a crab crawls. Read the book. It's not even a spoiler. Prompt 10. How do you discover new or new to you horror books? Through the library. That's how I discovered The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, and he's got a lot of horror books out. It's series about My Heart is a Chainsaw and Don't Fear the Reaper. Mindy at Mindy's Book Journey just reviewed the third one in that, which I did not write down. I didn't even think I was going to mention Mindy. So there you go. See, prompt 11. What was the last horror book that you bought? Boy, I don't even remember that question. Did I write down an answer? I did not. But I have Phantasm here. Has anybody seen that movie? That back 80s movie. I saw that in a theater. And I think MJ did too. Phantasm. It's where that silver ball floats around a mausoleum and zaps people in the head, drills them in the head. Yeah. And some kind of box. What was the deal with the box? Was it a dumb waiter? But I think it would deliver severed heads. I don't know. What does that have to do with the prompt about what was the last horror book you bought? I can't remember. I think Pet Cemetery, but I didn't buy that, honestly. Why are you going to lie? You don't have to lie to kick it, Alan. I got that from the library, Pet Cemetery. I can't remember, guys. Can't remember. I think that's all the. Oh, this is the last book I found at a free library. Yeah, this dude, Chuck Palahniuk, he lives in Portland and does book signings and readings at Powell's probably once a year at least. You think I've seen him yet? No, too lazy. What horror books are at the top of your wish list? Oh, wait, first, last horror book I bought, or I skipped something about 11. Or no, as a kid, I have Clive Barker's hardcover Books of Blood. I remember buying that. Oh, it cost me like $25 or something back in the day. Now you can get it for like $5. A collection of either, I think, 3 volumes. I don't have any on top of my wish list. I really don't. Maybe the Elementals. Scott turned me on to quite a few horror novels that I didn't even get to in May yet. And I'm not going to get to because I'm on to June already. And then June on the Range, I want to read some Westerns. And you know how it is being a BookTube creator. It's hard out here for it. All right, guys. Who am I going to tag? I don't know. I'll think of somebody and add it in the comments. How's that? Hey, like, subscribe, make a comment if you like horror. I'll reply back to you. I promise. And make it a good day. Be good to your boss.